Hey, what is happening everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we have something very different from our usual tech that we get to review on this channel. What we have here is something pretty cool. This is not your regular off-the-shelf car system. This is a full Android OS, and basically what's inside this box will transform an old car into a really cool car, in my opinion. What this is going to do is add a digital display about 7 inches or so, and it's going to have a really powerful Android system built into it that can monitor the car, have a backup camera and a dash cam built into it, and we're going to be checking all of that out in just a bit here. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it and see what's inside this package, because I have never done this before, and it's going to be pretty exciting in seeing how I'm going to install this, and I'm going to take you guys with me and show you what's up. And basically this whole system for Eonon is actually available for a bunch of different cars. The specific one that we have, as you can see from the title, is for the Mazda 3 2006 to 2009, I believe. And I'll leave a list of the ones that are supported. But yeah, you can go ahead and check their website out. It's actually very cool, and they're actually the original company that kind of makes these things. You'll see them on AliExpress, knockoff versions of it, but this is the real deal right here. And they have great support from what I've seen, and forums, and a pretty big user base with a lot of supports, which is cool. So yeah, first thing you get is a screen protector, which is pretty cool. And then we get a manual, and we'll take a look at that later on. And inside we'll find all the hardware, and I pretty much have ordered everything that comes for this thing. All the items, most of them. And yeah, so I think this is the backup camera right here. You can see from the little tiny camera right there. We'll take a look at that in just a bit. Then we have this package right here. It looks like space food. Yeah, we'll see what's inside here as well. This, I believe, is the dash cam. Now, from what I've seen, the dash cam isn't so good, but who knows? Maybe it's good and works really nicely. And then we have another space food bag, and that's it for the box. So really good packaging. The box actually came in really nicely, and everything was nicely protected. Alright, so we'll take a look at that in just a bit here, but first, let's take a look at all the little packages here. Alright, so first of all, we have the manual for the backup camera, and this will explain how to hook it up. And basically, from what I understand, is that you hotwire the backup camera to the system as well as your backup light. And as soon as your backup light activates, it will trigger the backup camera, and the backup camera will override whatever is on your screen with this thing. And basically, that's how your backup camera works. Here's what the camera looks like itself. It's pretty small, and I think I chose the highest field of view vision, not the night vision, because the night vision did have a smaller field of view. I wanted to get the max, so I went for this one. Then we have the space food bag, and let's take a look inside here. Alright, so it is Ziploc, which is nice. You can reuse this nice bag. Alright, and basically these are the guts that you're going to be connecting to the back of this panel and the car itself. Most of them should be pretty straightforward. They're just a bunch of plugs, nothing going on here. No soldering should be required. It should be pretty straightforward once you understand what is going on. We got a fuse here, some extra matching brackets, some screws, and more cables. And inside this other package, we will find a whole bunch of other stuff. I believe this is the GPS module. Yes, this thing does have GPS, which is nice, so you can install Google Maps offline or Waze or whatever you want, and have GPS built into this thing. So it's not just an Android system. They can download apps from the Play Store. You can have GPS, you can have a backup camera, you can have a dash cam, and if you want, you can actually plug in a USB 3G module and have internet built into the system, and you can browse the internet and do whatever you want on this thing, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that is the GPS antenna. This is the microphone that you'll hook up somewhere in the car so it picks up on you, and you can choose whatever mic you want. It should be pretty straightforward. Then we have more cables that will figure out what they are for. And finally, some Velcro and the good stuff in the back here. And that's where the dash cam will connect, as well as your 3G connection or your USB flash drive or whatever you want. You can hook up to this thing very, very easily. And that's where the microphone will go. So pretty cool. And here's one last look at the dash cam. Alright, so here is the good stuff. So this is where all those cables connect, and it's going to be exciting to see how I'm going to connect this, and once I'm finished, it's going to look pretty awesome. So let's take it apart here and see what's inside. And here we are. Check that out. So this will pretty much replace my current system, which pretty much does not have anything for a screen. It only has the top screen for the date and time and some information, and that's it. This has a whole lot going on here. And not just that, you have RGB. Yes, you have RGB for this thing, and you can change the colors for the LEDs that will glow in this thing to whatever you want. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So here it says, check out the screws before installing. I believe that's a screw that will connect to the top system of the Mazda. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. If you have a Mazda and you have taken it apart, you'll probably know. Yeah, this is how the Mazda one connects for the Mazda 2006 to 2009. And that is what it looks like in the back here. And it seems like I actually just ruined this Wi-Fi. Don't drop it on like that. It's basically just a little antenna that is connected here for your Wi-Fi. So yes, this thing has Wi-Fi, and you can probably change the antenna here if you want. I'm not too sure how. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, you do have Wi-Fi, so if you land by a Starbucks or whatever there's a hotspot, then you can actually connect to that and be good to go. Or just tether your own Wi-Fi through your phone 3G or 4G, whatever you want, and be able to browse the internet on this thing and watch YouTube and do whatever you want on this thing. And that is really awesome. Yeah, it seems like you actually get an extra fuse from what I understand, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just a bunch of plugs and they all look different, so it should be pretty hard to mistake which plug goes where. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look at that in just a bit here. So yeah, I'm going to keep all of this. I'm going to actually go ahead and read the manual and take a look at the back of this panel right here and understand how everything connects to each other. And yeah, I'll guide you guys through everything and see how everything goes together and pretty much show you the end result. Now if you're wondering, yes, there's actually a built-in mic right here, but if you want to override that and use an external mic, that is much better. That will pick up on your voice. You can use the other one that is included right here, the clip-on mic. And you're not going to clip this on yourself. No, you're just going to clip it somewhere around the car that is visible to you. So that is that. Also, two more things. Yes, this thing does have two SD card slots, one for the GPS files and one for whatever you want, media files, you name it, it's going to be there. So yeah, so the display here is a 720p 7-inch, I believe, and it's an IPS, so you're going to have really nice colors, if I remember correctly. If there's anything, I'll update you guys right in the screen here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read everything over and see how I'm going to connect this and try to guide you guys through everything here, and eventually I'll show you guys what it looks like on the inside. So let's go. Alright, so check this out. This actually has a really nice manual. You actually get two manuals, one for the built-in system user guide, and yes, this thing does run Android 6.0 Marshmallow, so it's actually pretty up to date, especially when it comes to a car system like this one. It's pretty awesome to know that it is up to date, and you're pretty much going to be able to run whatever you want. That said, let's check out the installation guide manual. And my mistake, this is actually a 2004-2009 model, so this will support all those cars in those range. So check this out. This is the installation manual and it looks pretty awesome and it's really nicely laid out. So let's take a look inside. So what you get here is actually very nicely drawn images that are very clear and easy to understand, which is really nice. Because I mean, with all these cables right here, you're gonna be pretty intimidated with this thing. So let's take a look at the manual here. So the first few steps, it's going to tell you how to take apart the old one, and I have actually taken the old one apart once and installed my own aux cable, which the old one does support, but it never came with an aux cable, even though it supports in the back panel. And I have installed that before, but I can tell you right now, this is some really nice work on the manual. I mean, it looks beautiful, everything is nicely drawn. Overall, it's actually a pleasure to read this thing through and see how to put everything together. It looks pretty awesome, I gotta say, no doubt about it. And yeah, it just tells you everything you need. So that's the upper display that we're going to have to take apart from the old one and connect to the new one. So after you finish screwing in everything, you're going to start plugging in the radio, the antenna, pretty much everything. We'll see how quick that will be for me. I'm not too sure. Released windshield, blah, blah, blah. So that's how you connect the microphone. It tells you that you should connect it upwards. So the microphone will actually go around your car edge of the roof and eventually land somewhere behind your mirror. Actually, the microphone will be near the driver's window. I mean, you can choose wherever you want to put this. And then the camera, the dash cam, will be upwards, just like you install any other dash cam, except the cable is actually coming from inside the car. And, okay, so that's the microphone. More instructions on how to install the microphone. It also tells you how to install the GPS antenna. Some people just install it around the center area, under the hood, because it's just plastic. And it tells you here to install it on top. More instructions, we'll figure that out later. Looks a bit different from the actual panel in the back that we have. And then screw everything back together, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so not too sure. There might be something missing. Who knows? I'll have to figure this out and let you guys know and just guide you through it and see how all this connects and how my experience goes with it. So, yeah. That said, all these cables are labeled individually, so that should be a big help on how to connect everything together here. So it should be pretty straightforward, as long as we have labels, right? We'll find out. Here's a quick look at the manual here for the inside. So yeah, it's just a quick guide on what's inside the system itself. All that said, the cables are labeled and there's a big label on this thing that will tell you where to connect each cable. So, yeah. I have my water bottle, I have my tools, the manual, the cables, and pretty much everything except for the new panel, because I'm gonna keep that safe until I take this one apart and show you guys how to do so. Alright, so first turn off your car, obviously. And yeah, this is pretty much how I take it apart. So basically, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's pretty insane how you can do it. This comes out apart like that. You just want to kind of bend it in the middle and then pull the side out. and that just comes out like so. Basically, you just want to pry it slowly. You can go watch some videos on how to take it apart, get a more of a better idea on how it's actually taken apart. So basically, this is what it looks like on the inside. You get 1, 2, 3, 4 clips, and they just clip out, and then you have one slider in the back there, and that's what I actually use to get started. So I kind of bend it that way, pull this out, and then clip each of these out one by one, and it's much easier to do that way. All right, so now you want to bring your screwdriver and you want to take this part out, this one right here, and that's what is going to connect this part right here, and it's going to also have this part connected as well. And actually, let's go ahead and take this part out as well, this top panel, because it's going to give us more room to work with, and it's not going to cause us to break anything, hopefully. All right, and here's the crucial part. You don't want to break the original one. I mean, if you want, you can go ahead, but don't try to pull this out from this end. If you do pull this out, here's what's going to happen. You're actually going to pop this part out, and you don't want to do that because you might end up breaking it. So you want to actually get your fingers in there and or tools and pull them from these ends right here. These are metal ends, and you can actually hold it and pull out slowly side by side until it comes out like so. And then you can slowly hold it from the bottom until the whole system is out like that. Now you want to go ahead and disconnect all the cables, starting with the top one, and then there are 2 more ones in the back. One of them is actually the one I installed for the aux cable, which I'll show you in just a bit here. That's the antenna, I believe. That's the aux cable. And finally, the big one in the back. And that's what the original one looks like in the back. You just got this one right here, and that's where you connect the aux cable, the $20 aux cable that you can buy from Amazon. It's pretty cool. Basically, I have it routed. It's just a really long cable that connects to the back of the panel, and in the bottom here, you actually get the cable. And it's pretty long, and you can put this cable anywhere you want. I have put it in the secret tray because nobody uses it. Alright, so before you do anything with the new unit, you want to go ahead and take apart the top display from the original unit first. And to do that, basically you'll have these screws right here. You can ignore these mounting systems. It seems like the new one has its own mounting system for the top display. So we're just going to take apart these 2 screws from both ends and pull this out. And now this should come out pretty easily. This part is going to come out, but first you're going to have to actually slide the plug here like that from the little rail that holds it together. And that should be pretty much it for the old unit, so I'm going to put that aside, and it's going to be taking a look at the new unit. And once again, be really careful with the new unit. You don't want to scratch anything. So yeah, you want to go ahead and get started by taking out these 2 screws right here, and it seems like these 2 screws are actually what holds the CD-ROM, but I am going to be using a smaller one just to be on the safe side. Alright, now you want to bring out your new display, and now you want to go ahead and bring out the new mounting brackets. This is also a good time to clean the display if you found it dirty. So if you want to install this in your car, you could. If you want, you can install it at home, but I'm just going to use these 2 manuals every now and then when I want to install something, so I don't scratch the unit or the car itself inside. So here's the new unit, and I'm going to turn it on its side just like the old one. And we're going to get the brackets, and it says left and right on each one, so you'll know which way they go. And now we want to go ahead and take the bag with the 4 screws and install them on each side. Alright, and now we should be good to go to install the original top display on the new unit. So this should be pretty straightforward. It just goes in like so at an angle, just like that. So we pretty much just line up the screws and screw it back in. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and install the original screws from the original unit. Alright, so I just went ahead and installed these 2 brackets right here, and I've actually lined them up with right to right and left to left, except they're actually wrong. Instead, they're supposed to be right and left according to the back of it. So the brackets were actually labeled kind of wrong, because although this is left when the display is facing you, it's wrong when you're installing these brackets. So make sure that you are holding it this way and the panel is facing that way, and that's where you will be connecting the right and left. So this will be the right and this will be left for the brackets, not according to the labels on the panel itself. So keep that in mind, because I actually installed this and it was actually touching this part right here, and I almost scratched this top part, and I don't want to do that, and you don't want to do that as well. So good thing that I caught that here and I didn't scratch it and let you guys know. So now what you want to do is line this up and line that up as well with the panel. So the display will be sitting in the correct position and hopefully going in the screw as well. And I'm going to see how that is going to happen. Alright, so there we go. I have lined them up, and basically I started with the screws themselves, and then this part itself actually lined up and clipped in perfectly. And of course, once you're done that, you want to go ahead and screw them using the original screws from the original unit. So there we go. The top panel is now connected to the new panel. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm going to bring you your bag of connectors. I pretty much put everything in the bubble wrap bag that it came with the package. And it seems like it's going to be pretty straightforward for the most part. This obviously seems like to be the adapter for the main unit. So this is the original cable, and that will connect right into here and adapt to be able to connect to the new unit. Alright, so here comes the fun part. We actually got to take a look at the manual and connect everything. So I've already connected the big plug, which is the radio plug according to the manual, and on the other end we get this black cable right here, and that black cable will actually go ahead and connect to the back panel of this unit. So that should go right in here perfectly. There we go. So that's the first plug connected successfully. Next up we have the antenna adapter. So it seems like it actually leaches off this connector. Alright, so somehow it's telling me to connect the original radio adapter into this unit, except there's no such connector on this car, but it doesn't go in there. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and connect the antenna straight in there and forget about what they said in the manual. I'm not too sure what is going on here. We'll figure it out later. If the radio works, whatever. So the next thing is it actually tells you to go ahead and plug it in, turn it on, and see if everything works. So obviously I'm not going to completely put it all the way in there. I'm just going to put it on the side and see if it's going to turn on. Here we go. Oh, it's turning on. So obviously this is an Android system, so it's going to have to take some time to boot up. But this is one of the newest units, so it should be pretty quick. Yeah, it's pretty okay. Alright, so let's see if it works. Yeah, there we go. This looks awesome, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait till I have this whole thing finished and done. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, you shut that down like that. Okay. Turn back on. Okay, so that's just sleep mode. Got the tuner right here. It's kind of a spring loaded. Loud on, loud off, home, back, band. See if I have any radio connection. Data on zero down, which means, you know, to enjoy de s'inspirer. Alright, so it seems like the radio is working. That's all that matters. Alright. Cool. Whoops, shut it down. Yep. One last thing. Let's see if the top display is going to be working because we haven't actually connected it. Let's go ahead and turn it off. So that should just connect with the original plug, like that. Original plug to original display. And if we go ahead and try that one more time. Yep, there we go. The display is on. There we go. Cool. It actually says other. For the system itself, it doesn't know what it is. It just says other. Okay. So the next step is to read over the manual even more and connect all the other features, the microphone, the GPS, the backup camera, and the dash cam, and we should be done pretty quickly. That said, you don't have to plug in any of those. The dash cam and the backup camera are actually add-ons that you buy on top of this thing, so you can just buy the base unit and not have to go through the pain of connecting everything else, including the backup camera and the dash cam. So yeah, now let's see how I'm going to put this aside. But first, let's take a look at the manual. So now we are going to open the glove box. Alright, so now we're going to be opening up the glove box and connecting the USB plug to the console, or the system itself. And yep. Alright, so here are the USB plugs. We're going to plug this into the system and route it around somehow to the glove box here. And it's actually telling me to somehow pull the USB through the glove box in the gap between them. So I'm guessing it's somewhere here. But first, we're probably going to have to take apart the glove box itself to see where that path is. So I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect everything once again. Put this aside. Alright, so the USB connector should be connecting to the second one on the left side, just like that. And you would think it would go inside the other one, but the other one is actually, it has a clipped corner, so it won't go in, and it will only go in this one right here. And I recommend taking a picture of this beforehand so you don't have your view obstructed by the upper display. And yes, that is the USB connector. So yeah, it's actually going pretty smoothly. There's actually a big mess in the car right now. That is to be expected. There's tons of cables, tons of manuals from the car and the system itself. So yeah, let's go ahead and see where this thing connects. So both connectors are just regular USBs. You can connect them and they can be anything you want. So you can decide if you want to plug both of them inside the glove box, Alright, so according to the instructions, if you want to plug in your USB into the glove box, you gotta make a small hole with a drill bit, a hole about an inch or so, and that's how they routed it in the video. Personally, I'm not gonna do that. I don't really need to connect the USBs. That said, I do need to connect the dash cam. So what I'm gonna do is probably just gonna route the cable from under in between around the glove box, because I actually don't have the drill bit right now to make that hole. So I'm gonna see how I'm gonna do that. Basically, I should be able to route this in between this section right here. And this probably be a good time to actually use the pry tool to give it some leverage. And somehow, you're gonna have to. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take this top right screw right here, and should be able to make a bigger gap. Not too sure how I'm gonna do that. And this part of the glove box is actually clipped in. So now it should be much easier to route the USB around it. Alright, so I have taken this screw, and that screw, and I popped out the glove box just a bit here to give me some leverage. So there we go. Now what I'm going to do is actually disconnect this cable entirely and connect it back on later. I don't want the cable to be just getting pulled in here. So with that said, so I can get the cable more out there under the glove box and have it route somehow like that to the dash cam. So I'm just going to connect the cable out there just like that to connect to the dash cam and go around here. Alright, so all that's left to do is to connect the GPS antenna, the microphone, and the backup camera. Alright, so according to the picture, the microphone and the GPS antenna are going to have to connect right there at the driver's seat, so yeah. Alright, so I don't want to actually have the GPS and route it around the whole car. It's probably going to be too much work, and you're still going to be able to see the GPS unit itself. At this point, it's pretty much all your choice of where you want to install all these parts. I've seen one other person do it, and they have actually installed the GPS unit under this panel right here. And that's where the air conditioning is. So you pretty much take this panel out, there's two screws, you pop this out, and I'm going to put the GPS unit right under here. And that's it. Because this is a plastic unit, there's no metal, and it should be a pretty good place to put the GPS unit. And hopefully we'll still get a really good GPS signal. So I'm going to disconnect that, take the GPS unit, and put it just like that on there. And that's it. And also wrap the cable on itself so it doesn't fly around there. And I'm probably going to get some double-sided tape and glue that in there, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I got 2 pieces of old double-sided tape. Not a good idea, but this will do for now. If it does have a problem, I'll just replace it. Let's go ahead and clean this area. It's pretty dusty. Slip that right in there. Perfect. And the cable can just sit in there as long. And the cable can also sit in there. And then we can plug back in that cable. And then we should be good to go, actually. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so here's the microphone. It is a clip-on mic. See how I'm going to install this. Where do I want to put it? I might put it somewhere down here. Alright, so inside you can actually get to the back, and that's how I'm going to route the microphone. So I'm going to push it down there and pull it up and put it down here. And that should be a pretty good install. Alright, so I have successfully installed the microphone very nicely. Nothing crazy going on here. And basically the microphone is actually right in here. It's not jammed too hard where it's going to break. It's perfectly fine. Basically this cable is going through and coming out from right here. You can actually see my finger in there, if you can see right there. And that's how I routed it. And when I routed, I actually took this part out, so it's much easier. And I don't even need that anymore. Basically I just shoved it right in there, and that should be good. If not, I can easily take the microphone out, route it somewhere else where it works for me. But that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go and install a crazy microphone popping out from here. I don't want anything crazy going on. I want to keep it as clean as possible. So yeah, the microphone is installed, the GPS is installed. Hopefully both of them are going to work just fine. But now all that's left to do is install the dash cam, which should be pretty straightforward. It's just a dash cam that you plug it in, just like every other dash cam with a long cable. And the hardest part is going to be the backup camera. I'm going to have to route the cable all the way back in the car and hook it up to the backup light, because that is how the backup camera is going to turn on. Alright, so for the back camera, the instructions are pretty clear and pretty straightforward. And basically, that is how it connects. The camera connects to 2 things, the display as well as the reverse light. And here are the cable connects that you're going to need. You're going to need this really long one with this really small cable and the freestanding red cable. The backup camera itself, of course. And this other cable, which is going to connect to the reverse light and power up the backup camera. This is going to connect right there, and that will connect back into the console, just like that. And one more thing, you're going to need this cable, which is going to take in the signal from the camera itself, which is going to be plugged into the back of the console itself. So that should be the last connector where we can celebrate and be like, yay, it's all done, and we can put it back together and have a great time. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how I'm going to route the cable all the way to the back and let you guys know how I did it. Alright, so just like the microphone, I have routed the long cable for the backup camera through the driver's side. I was going to do it on the passenger side, but there's too many obstacles and it's too hard to actually get it through all the way to the cluster of openings that are available on that side. But although there's only 1 or 2 openings here, they're actually very easy to access. So I've routed all the long cable through it, and I'm pulling it from under the passenger and right there. And the plan is I'm going to have the cable in between the plastic piece and the carpet. So I'm going to do that all the way to the back, and then we'll get to show you guys what I'm going to do next. Alright, so the plan has a bit changed, but it's pretty straightforward. The cable's still coming out from here, right, so through the driver's side, but it is actually going here and through a bunch of holes, and I'm going to route it all the way here, and it's going to go along the side all the way to the back until we get to the reverse camera. Alright, so fast forward a couple months now, and it has been a really long time. Now, this video was supposed to be up a long time ago, but I wanted to make sure that everything that I've done and the whole system works perfectly before I make my videos. I was supposed to have 2 videos, 2 main videos. One of them was supposed to be the assembly, which is this one, and the other one would be where I reviewed the unit itself. And I decided to stop recording at that point, the clip previous to this one, because things got a bit complicated, and it was really hot outside, and I didn't want to screw up anything. So I just wanted to focus on how I'm going to do this. So yeah, it's finished, and I'm just going to show you what I've done here. So first of all, the dash cam is hooked up like so it just connects like that. Very simple and straightforward. The system is right here. I have my SD card right there. I actually also got an OBD meter, 2 USB ports right here from Aki, which is pretty awesome. They're very low profile. And now let's go ahead and continue on and show you guys what I've done with the rest of the cable for the backup camera. So once again, where we left off, the cable was coming out from here and it's going all around down here and into the back of the seat. So it's going under and inside to the back. Don't worry about that keyboard. It's a PS2 keyboard. And then right here, the cable stops around this area. So here you can see the split off point. So that's where the cable is coming from, under the seats. And right here, it goes into 2 places. One of them is going into the backup light, which is this guy right here. So it's going around under this piece, and I hooked it up to the backup light to trigger when I back up the camera. Now, the way I've done the cable is I've routed it through here. It was very painful. And then I cut a slit right over here to get the cable out and hook it up to the backup plate right here. I know, a lot of hairs in there. And then moving on to the backup camera, it was actually pretty painful to set up. So I had to take this off and shove my hands in between this panel right here and the back. So the cable is going under here and down there and inside to the backup camera, which I have mounted with a piece of 3D printed material. So I cut it out and I actually had attached it to the backup light. Now, the whole last part about the backup camera and the backup light is all going to depend on your car model and how you want to do it. You're basically going to have 2 cables, one going to the backup camera and one going to the backup light to activate the backup camera when you back up. Which if we go ahead and take a look at, and I'm going to blur half the screen here, basically that's what it'll look like. You got the 2 lines, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, it's going to depend on how you set it up and how your camera is. Pretty much the hardest part would have to be, I would say, mounting the camera to your car. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The system has been working fine for the most part. I'll talk about the pros and cons of the system later on in the next video. The GPS has been working perfectly fine. The system has been pretty enjoyable and it looks pretty nice. And it does add a whole lot of cool functions. I wish I could make the part where I talk about the mounting system for the backup camera much better, but it really is going to depend on how you set it up and what car model you have. So anyways, that's all for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you want anything to be described in detail, I will try to help you out. So, that is all. See you guys later. See you guys in the review, and take care, everyone.